Hey there guys, welcome back. In the last lecture we saw immutability for integer data types. Today we'll see immutability of the remaining fundamental data types. I have made a new folder inside 8 immutable reuse, that is part 1, and kept the examples of the last lecture in that folder. So now we'll make a new folder inside 8 immutable reuse, part 2, and a new example A.py. In this, let's see immutability for float data. X is equal to 12.3, Y is equal to 12.3, and we'll print X is Y. Okay, so the float is immutable, so the reference object for X and Y will be the same. Means X and Y, both the variables, will point towards the same object. So the is test should return true. Let's see. Running A.py. True, okay. Now let's see a new example. B.py. Let X is equal to 12.44 and Y is equal to 3.2 and print X is Y. So these two are different values, so the is test will return false. Okay, so let's see. See, we are getting false. Now let's assign X is equal to 3.20. 3.2 and 3.20 are the same, so the test should return true. Let's see. Running B.py. See, the new object for 3.2 is not created and the initial one is reused. That's why we are getting true. True means X and Y both are pointing towards a same object, and this X is Y is returning us true. Okay, so this was all for float data. Let's see a new data type. We'll make a new folder, part 3, and a new file, A.py. In this, let's see the Boolean data type. Let's say we have X is equal to true and Y is equal to true, and we'll print X is Y and print X equal to Y. Okay, so this is equality operator and it compares the value of two objects. So there is difference between is and equality operator. Is checks whether two variables point to the same object in the memory, and the equality operator compares the value of the two objects. Okay, the Boolean data is also immutable, so the is test should return true, and the value of the two objects is equal, so the equality operator should also return true. So let's see. Running A.py. True. Okay, now let's see another data type. Making a new folder, part 4, and a new file, A.py. In this we will see string data type. Let X is equal to sample and Y is equal to sample, and print X is Y. These two strings have the same value, and we know string is immutable, so the result of X is Y must be true. So let's see. Running A.py. True. Okay, now let's see for X is equal to sample. Notice here S is uppercase. Okay. Python is case sensitive, which means uppercase and lowercase strings are different. So the is test should return false here. So let's see. False. Okay. Now let's see a new example. X is equal to sample and y is equal to sample with uppercase S, and print id of x and print id of y. These two are unique strings, so the IDs should be different. So let's see. See, the IDs are different. Now let's make x is equal to sample with uppercase S and y is equal to sample with lowercase s, and print id of x and print id of y. So now let's run B.py. Notice the values of x and y are interchanged. So if id of x was initially 1 and id of y was 2, then after interchanging the values, the id of x will be 2 and that of y will be 1. So we will get the first and last id same and second and third same. So let's see. See, we are getting the second and third IDs same, that is 6520, the last 4 digits, and first and last are 3944 and 3944. Okay. So this is the example of reusability of objects. Now making a new example. C.py. Let x is equal to AAA and y is equal to BBB, and print id of x and id of y. And here in the print statement I am passing two arguments. One is string, which will be printed as it is, and the second argument is the id. So we'll get the output with the separation of space. Okay. And x is equal to BBB and print id of x and id of y. And let's write an extra print here. And now z is equal to AAA and print id of x, id of y and id of z. And let's add one more print here so that we can differentiate the different x and y's. Okay. So here let's see what's happening. Initially x and y both have different IDs because of their different values. Then x is assigned the value that is equal to y, and x and y points to the same object, so they have the same ID. And finally a new variable z is introduced whose value is equal to the previous value of x. So its ID will be that of the previous ID of x. Okay. This is just because of reusability, and x and y will have the same IDs. So let's see, running C.py. See, initially x and y have different IDs, then ID of x is equal to that of y, and at last x and y have the same previous IDs, and ID of z is equal to that of initial ID of x. Okay. So here the reusability of the variable can be seen when z is assigned to that string. Okay. Now let's make a new folder, part 5, and a new file, A.py. The data type which is left is complex. So let's see that. X is equal to 3j, y is equal to 3j, print id of x and print id of y, and print x is y. So we saw that all the fundamental data types are immutable, means complex is immutable. So the IDs will be the same and the is test will return true. So let's see, running A.py. See, we are getting true and the IDs are also same. Okay. Now let's make a new example, B.py. Here let x is equal to 12 plus 3j, y is equal to 3j, and print id of x and id of y, and also print x is y. So here x and y are different, so their IDs will be different and the is test will return false. So running B.py, see, the IDs are different and we are getting false for is test. Now let's assign x is equal to 3j. Now x is equal to y, so their IDs should be same and the is test should return true. So let's see, running B.py. See, we are getting the desired result. Okay. I strongly recommend you to try running these examples. They might seem easy and boring, I guess, but if you won't try, you will forget on the spot. And make sure to make the notes of these if you are not making right now. They will help you to revise fast in the interview or kind of when needed. So that was all for today. We'll see a new concept in the next lecture. Thank you.